Welcome to GMF Talk. Today, we're taking a look at digitization and the news industry in the Middle East. I've got Professor Dr. Ayad Alani with me. And in addition to having several academic titles, he is also an associate member of the Einstein Center for Digital Future in Berlin and an associate professor at the School of Public Leadership in Stellenbosch, South Africa. Professor Alani, let me jump right in. The focus of your research and work is the Middle East. Could you tell me a bit about the differences in terms of digital content offerings and also about the people driving digitization in the Middle East?
First of all, thank you for having me. Coming back to your question, I would say rather on the contrary, I see many similarities between the content that is being developed in, let's say, the global South and the North. And even to the extent that I think that the actors, the producers behind this context, they share the same values, they share very similar skills, they probably are all members of the so-called creative class. If anything, I would say that people in the South are generally more ambitious, and they also consider themselves worthy of undertaking leapfrogging projects, for instance, interesting solutions in the financial area and on the African continent, where the issue of underbanking has been more or less solved by those actors.
Okay, so what are some of the main themes you see in the Arab world which are driving debates in the digital realm? What do people want to achieve with digital tools?
My observation is that people, especially from the Arab world, are very much concerned on how to solve social issues. They do want to use digitization to address social injustice, problems of the service level of public and private services, for instance.
Okay, so what about media and access to information? In the Middle East, is there free access to digital content in a way that sustainably encourages democratic principles?
Probably access to information is not the biggest problem in the Arab world. I think that the times are over where you could restrict information. So if you are not satisfied with the information you get from one source, I think in all Arab countries, you have the possibilities to obtain information from alternative sources.
What about issues that might still need to be resolved in regards to digitization in the Arab world?
So when you look, for instance, back at the Arab Spring, what we had is the usage of information to mobilize and to coordinate protesters. But what they couldn't do is, within a short time frame, build up institutions and coordinate themselves. So collaboration is very important. And what we can see in the Arab world is that collaboration is sometimes restricted. And when it is not restricted, it is often not funded and supported.
Okay, you used the example of the Arab Spring as a point of reference there, but that was well over a decade ago. So what has changed in all this time, and how do governments in the region today recognize the power of digital technology?
Even authoritarian regimes are now putting the well-being of their citizen at perhaps a more important level than before. And the reason for that is because their actions are more transparent. People can see what is happening in other countries. So we can see that regimes and political systems are perhaps more attending towards the well-being of the citizen.
Thank you very much for all the insight and information and food for thought.